So, aloha everybody. Welcome to the 2022 NCPW Virtual Consumer Fair, sponsored by the State of Hawaii Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs and the U.S. Postal Service. I'm Jackie Choi, the Consumer Protection Education Specialist from DCCA. I want to thank you for joining us. Oops. I want to thank you for joining us to celebrate our 18th annual National Consumer Protection Week event. We're excited to celebrate NCPW with a series of consumer protection workshops every day this week. We've got a great lineup, so make sure you come back for more. To help our consumers be well informed about various consumer issues, we're offering a free consumer wise information packet containing an assortment of consumer protection brochures. If you'd like to receive a free packet of brochures, please email education at dcca.hawaii.gov. If you'd like the soft copies, please indicate you'd like the zip file, or if you'd like the packet with hard copy brochures mailed to you, please include your mailing address. Our director is a big supporter of consumer education. She's here with us today to say a few words. So please allow me to introduce to you the Director of the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Ms. Catherine Awakuni Colon.
Aloha. Thanks very much, Jackie. I'm really excited to be part of this year's sessions and workshops that we're hosting. Thank you very much to Jackie, who has put together another great lineup. Thank you to the United States Postal Service for helping to sponsor the week's NCPW workshops as well. And then thank you to the IRS taxpayer advocate and to the IRS's criminal investigation department as well, for sending Gayvial and Wayne here to provide information. I know that the IRS's taxpayer advocate program has been a very important partner in previous workshops, and so I think that this kind of information is really helpful for folks. And I was mentioning earlier that I think that this is especially timely, given that the tax return deadlines are coming up for individual taxpayers. And so it's, as we're kind of moving through that process and readying our paperwork to do our tax returns ourselves, we need to be especially mindful about potential hazards and scams. And so I'm just so grateful that we have folks with so much expertise who are willing to share all of their knowledge. So thank you for being here. And thank you, Jackie, for letting me say hi to everybody.
I'm so sorry. So, just a few reminders for today's participants. Please, you remain on mute, not me, and turn off your camera during the workshop to avoid any distractions to others and especially our presenter. Today's session will be recorded and will be available at a later date on the DCCA website at cca.hawaii.gov/ncpw. We're shooting for next week, but please be patient if it's not there yet. If you have any questions along the way, please enter it into the chat and the speaker will address it during the Q&A at the end of the presentation. I'd like to thank today's speakers for being here with us to share their knowledge and expertise. Today, we'll start with Gayvial James of the IRS Taxpayer Advocate Service. Gayvial helps taxpayers with tax problems they can't resolve and recommends changes to prevent them. Next, we'll have Wayne Chan with the IRS Criminal Investigation, who will explain how tax scams can affect us and will show us how to keep our information safe. So, Gabriel and James?
Gabriel, do you want me to start?
Yeah.
I'll let you go with the scams and the information.
So, my name is Wayne Chen. I'm from the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. Basically, we are the law enforcement arm of the IRS. So when individuals and corporations, they deliberately do not comply with the federal tax law, our section will respond with financial investigations and potentially criminal prosecution to promote the compliance and confidence in the fairness of our tax system. So as the tax season is upon us, my focus today is to educate all taxpayers on the importance of choosing a proper tax return preparer and also protecting themselves from criminals attempting to defraud them out of their money or obtain their personally identifiable information. Also, we call PII. So basically, for criminals, they don't discriminate. They potentially every single taxpayer are potentially a target. So there are 2 points to remember when you encounter a scam situation. One is you have to protect your personal identifiable information. And 2, you will never submit any payment over the telephone to unsolicited callers. If you in a situation, if you feel like you are being scammed, you need to pause and think. Does this make sense? This conversation makes sense. If any part of the conversation makes you question the validity of the caller, you should immediately hang up your phone and talk to your bank or financial institution if you accidentally provided like bank information or PII to the caller. Please remember, the IRS does sometimes contact individuals, taxpayers, over the telephone in certain circumstances, such as during a criminal investigation, especially during COVID. We make a lot of phone calls to reach out, at least initially. Then we will try to arrange in-person meetings with taxpayers. But the IRS will never demand any form of payment over the telephone. So taxpayers usually will be contacted via email or via regular mail for audits and collections. And any and all payment that will be made to the IRS will always be paid to the United States Department of the Treasury and only to the United States Department of Treasury. If you are being asked to buy a Apple cash card and send over, or any other form of methods of payments, most likely it's a scam. So oftentimes taxpayers, they're not aware that they are victims of ID theft or identity theft until the IRS has contacted them and tell them that there are possible issues with their tax returns. So anyone that suspects that their identity has been compromised, they can always go to the irs.gov website and search for the Taxpayer Guide to Identity Theft for a list of steps you can take if you think your information is being compromised. My second point today is to try to talk about tax return preparers. So basically, choosing a tax return preparer, especially during the tax season, is one of the most important financial decisions that you are making in this year. In the U.S., over 55% of the taxpayers uses a tax return preparer to file their tax returns. When choosing a tax return preparer, you need to exercise the same amount of caution that you would when choosing a doctor. You should always ask a friend or family for recommendations and always look for a more reputable return preparer to file your returns. You need to be aware of the return preparers who claim that they can get you the highest refund. With the same set of information, every single return preparer should be able to get you the same amount of refund. So also make sure that your tax refund, if you do get one, is deposited directly into your bank account, not deposited into the return preparer's bank account. So also you need to look for a tax return preparer that's available year round. And you need to also ask the tax return preparer for their IRS Prepared Tax Identification Number, what we call PTIN, PTIN, which is required by law for all persons who's preparing tax returns for for the public for profit, i.e. a paid tax return preparer. And also you need to be careful. You will never sign a blank tax returns, because ultimately you are responsible for what appears on your tax return. And lastly, there's one thing to be aware is that they are what we call ghost tax return preparer. So basically, these people are they will prepare your tax returns for a fee, but then they will refuse to sign as the return preparer before they mail your tax return to the IRS. And for e-filing, those ghost return preparer will be refused to digitally sign as the paid return preparer. So once you encounter this type of return preparer, you need to be really careful. So in closing, in 2021, the IRS has received reports of criminals attempting to defraud taxpayers out of money or obtain their personal information at a really, really high rate that we have seen for decades. So unfortunately, we are expecting to see this trend to continue. So the best way to prevent yourself falling victim to these criminals is to know what to look for and how to identify a potential scam. And Jackie will provide you with resources that's available to you from the IRS. So at the end, thank you.
Wayne, do you want to go over your resources?
Yes. So for taxpayers that if you solicited email or social media message attempting to gather information and claiming that they are from the IRS or organization that's closely linked to the IRS, you can forward that email or social media message to phishing@irs.gov, phishing@irs.gov. So if a taxpayer wants to report fraud or theft of their EIP, the Economic Impact Payment, to the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, you can go online at https www.treasury.gov/EIGTA/contact.html. If you suspect that you are a victim of identity theft as a result of a scam, you can go to the IRS.gov website and search for the keywords "Taxpayer Guide to Identity Theft." So go to that the webpage, and there are suggestions and steps you can take to protect yourself and to when that's the case. Thank you.
So we're going to go on to Gayvial's portion of the presentation today. But if you guys think of any questions for Wayne, we're going to do that at the end. So think about that, put that in the chat, and we'll ask Wayne at the end. So right now, we'll just go over to Gayvial's presentation.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Gayvial James, and I am the local taxpayer advocate for IRS for Hawaii and the U.S. Pacific Territories, located here in Honolulu. So first, I'd like to thank Jackie for inviting me again this year. Jackie and I have worked together for many years to provide information, regarding assistance at the IRS, and I am most appreciative of being able to be here today. Trying to share my screen. I don't know why it's not sharing. That's not what I want to share. Uh, hmm. Okay, there we go. I think this is. Can you all see my PowerPoint?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. So what I want to talk to you today is about the Taxpayer Advocate Service and what we do at the IRS to provide assistance when you have tried to resolve an issue. So thankful to Wayne for providing information about how to protect yourself and what scams are out there. And now I want to talk about, from the Taxpayer Advocate side of point, what we can do to assist you with your IRS problems. Taxpayer Advocate Service is your voice at the IRS. Our national taxpayer advocate is Miss Erin Collins. She has been with us about 2 years now. She came in the midst of the pandemic, so her job has been really tough in leading us through this. But who we are an independent organization within the IRS. We were mandated by Congress back in the Roth hearings, the 1998 hearings. And so we stood up in 2000 as an independent organization that is within the IRS to assist customers who have problems in resolving issues with the IRS. When you don't know where else to turn, we are the place that you will turn to. Our services are free. Individuals, businesses, nonprofits, anyone can come to us because we are within the IRS. We are IRS employees, and there are no income limits or anything like that for eligibility. So as I said, we are mandated by Congress, so we are mandated by law, and we are there to assist taxpayers to resolve problems that they haven't been able to resolve with the IRS through the normal channels. Okay, and then we also try and find, if we identify an issue that's ongoing in and affecting several people, we have an area that tries to work and fix the problems on a bigger scale. The area that I am in is called case advocacy, where we work with you one-on-one to resolve your issue. But if in doing so, we identify a systemic issue, then we have procedures for that I'll talk about a little later. Our offices, so there is the national office in DC, and then there is at least one office in every state and District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. So larger states like California and Texas have multiple offices, but smaller states like Hawaii and Alaska, there's only one office. So for Hawaii, I am your local taxpayer advocate. Our office is located on Bishop Street, on the 6th floor, suite 600. This is our main phone line. If you have a problem, you can call there, the 808-466-6375 number. You can also fax documents to us, or you can email documents to us. And all of these numbers are local for our direct office. I do want to advise you that right now we are currently still working from home. everybody is working from home. We are working, so if you call, it will go to voicemail, but someone will call you back. We try to do it within 24, but no more than 48 hours to give you a call back and see how we can assist you. You can also fax us documents, and that comes directly to our computers, and we will work those. Or you can email our group email that is also manned, throughout the day by our support staff. So what do? There is a taxpayer bill of rights. A lot of taxpayers don't realize it, but that you do have rights, and we protect those. So, if something has happened where your rights have been abridged, we can assist with that. We are also there where the systems fail, to try to make sure that we resolve the problems on the bigger scale. We work with IRS to make sure that happens, and we work with IRS to resolve the individual taxpayer accounts as well. If you're interested in some of the things that we have done to assist others, you can go to our website. And this one in particular, there are stories there about how we have helped. And so if you're interested in that, please check it out. We do have new options on our website. I must say our sites are getting better. So there's self-help information on our site, and it allows you to go in and see if you actually qualify for a taxpayer advocate service, or it will provide you information of where to go within the IRS to resolve your issue. Please don't be intimidated by this. I am, but it's something that our prior National Taxpayer Advocate put together before she left. It is a roadmap of, okay, where did I go? Sorry about that. It's a roadmap of how IRS operates, what happens when a return comes into the IRS. So as you can see, there's many steps of what happens, but this is on our website and they are enhancing it every day. So right now, if you go in and you enter the notice number that you got from the IRS, if you got a letter, there's a number on there. You can go in, put that number there, and it will give you, in layman's terms, what that notice is about, and some tips for it. And then there's some other sections here you can click on in particular to give you an idea of what is happening, what the steps are, if you owe, what steps it goes through in collection, how many notices you're going to get in the mail, and then before someone actually calls you, and that kind of thing, what your options are at each step. So we do have some really good tools out there now that I encourage you to look at on the website if you are having issues. So when to come to us for help? You want to come to us when you are, first of all, if you're experiencing a financial hardship or economic hardship based on something that IRS has done. You need the basic necessities, like food, shelter, clothing, medical services or medicines, and because your refund is being held up, or you're in an audit and you've provided everything you can provide, you don't know what else they need, but it's going to result in a refund and it's being held up, and you are experiencing a dire financial or economic hardship, something, that is going to adversely affect you tremendously if you don't get resolved or get the money to take care of. Then that's when you can come to us. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you do need documentation. We can't just say, oh, they're going to be evicted tomorrow. Well, where's that eviction notice? We need some documentation so that we can then negotiate with the IRS to say, hey, we need you to move this along, and this is the reason why. If you have tried to resolve your issue through normal IRS channels, you've called, you've waited the 2 hours online, you've talked to somebody, still not been able to resolve it, then you will qualify. If someone promised you something by a certain date, and they didn't get back to you with that, and it's been 30 days past that date, then we can come in and mitigate that for you as well. And there's the website again where you can go and find out more information about how to qualify or when to come to us for assistance. Okay, so we do have a new tool on there that will explain to you what the issues are that we help with when you do qualify. So if you want to partake of that, go in and look at that and see which issue we can assist with. You can do that as well. I gave you our local information for contacting us. This is information at the national level. So you can use the tool. You can also call our toll-free line. This number, the 877-777-4778, that is answered at the national level. So it's a call site, call bank for the Taxpayer Advocate Service. There are people located nationwide that answer that line. And then you can go and online and get our form. The form for assistance for Taxpayer Advocate Services, appropriately called the 911. So go look for that form, complete it, and again, you can fax it in to us. You can email it. Faxing is more secure than email, but if you email it to us, we will accept it. What can you expect when you come to TAS? You can expect that we will work with you and for you. We cannot circumvent the law. I'll tell you that up front. We do have to work within the rules and regulations and the IRMs, the manuals and the codes, of the IRS. But we are your voice at the IRS. We look at it from an independent stance. We look at it from where you bring it to us, and we try and get the best resolution for you. Sometimes, it's not necessarily what you might consider favorable, because taxes, you still have to pay the appropriate amount of tax. We're not actually to pay any more than the law mandates, but you do have to pay it. But maybe we can find a way that is, less burdensome for you than maybe has been provided to you just in general terms. So we do try and have the customer in mind when we are looking at what options are available. You will be assigned to one case advocate for the duration of your case. So you'll have that person's name and phone number to work with. And generally, I will say now we are not quite making this 7 days because the pandemic does have us behind, and we are now putting the new filing season on top of the old filing season, on top of the pandemic, on top of the shutdown, things that have just been compiling over the last few years and months. But we do still strive to contact you within a 7 to 10 day time frame, initial contact, to say we have it. We are going, I'm your case advocate. We will work with you, and and then we set dates that you agree upon with your case advocate to assist in working those. Currently, I have 4 case advocates here in my office, active and working. Right now, I will tell you they do have about 125 cases per person. So and that is one of the reasons, we're kind of not necessarily able to do it as quickly as we want, but we are there. Once we get it, we'll stick with you to the end. As I mentioned, we do work on a larger scale with systemic issues. If it's affecting many taxpayers, that kind of thing, we will make sure that we have an area called systemic advocacy, and there are analysts over there, and the main thing they do is work with IRS to fix problems that are on a larger scale and affecting many people, or systemic issues. They talk with the directors and the commissioner, and those people at IRS that can affect the change that need to be changed to on a broader scale. Not necessarily changing the law, but changing the process or the procedures. And anybody that wants to put an issue on our SAM system, it is online. You can go in and you can put an issue that you have seen, or something's going on that, and you've talked to a couple of people and they say, oh, hey, I think I got that. That happened to me as well, and I don't think that's right. Put it on there. And they will let you know if it's something we're looking at, or or they may take it on as a project, depending on what it is. As I mentioned, Taxpayer Bill of Rights. So these are the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. You have the right to be informed, the right to quality service, the right to pay no more than the correct amount of tax, challenge the IRS's position and be heard. That does mean that your position should be within the law. Not the ones that say, oh, we shouldn't be paying taxes. We're not here to defend that. An appeal, if a decision's been made and you get appeal rights, you have the right to that appeal. Finality, the right to have an answer to say, this is how much you owe, and this is when the statute runs, and that kind of thing. Privacy, if you come to Taxpayer Advocate, I will tell you we do keep your information confidential from the other the procedural parts of IRS, unless we need to send something over there to assist in the resolution. So when you come to us to talk about the issue, we don't want you to be afraid that that the IRS is going to know if, say, for instance, you're working with a revenue officer or an examiner, and you just want to, you just think they haven't looked at everything, or you want somebody to tell you, yes, this is normal for them to ask for this information, that kind of thing. So that part would be confidential. Now, if we said, yeah, we're going to take the case, make it a case, and we'll need this information to send over to them to resolve it, at that point, they would know that you had come to Taxpayer Advocate Service. You have the right to retain representation and a right to a fair and just tax system. As I mentioned, we are mandated by Congress. So with that being said, we, being Taxpayer Advocate Service, report directly to Congress. So we do not report to the commissioner. As our former National Taxpayer Advocate used to say, is she briefs the commissioner, but she does not report to the commissioner. She reports to Congress. Other programs within TAS are Low Income Tax Clinic, which we were without one for several years here in Honolulu, but we now have one, Hawaii Low Income Tax Clinic. And if you go on this website, you can find the Low Income Tax Clinic. And that is it's an outside organization, but it is overseen by Taxpayer Advocate Service as far as the grants and the reporting requirements and how they operate. That kind of thing is governed by Taxpayer Advocate Service. So that's why they fall under our preview, and we work closely with them to assist customers who go to them and meet their criteria. They do have an income criteria. But they do have volunteer CPAs and attorneys, because they can actually represent you in tax court if you meet their income requirement. So, oops. The TAP panel, that is it's our taxpayer advisory panel, and it is an individual who represents, we have one person that on the panel representing Hawaii. That person actually lives in Kauai, and she is there. They work on different committees and different issues. So for instance, we have made some real strides in the process for the offer and compromise, some real strides on installment agreements and letters, making our letters more meaningful to the customer and not so much, IRS language that people don't understand. So they work on those kinds of things. So if you are interested, because I do believe it's a 2-year term, so she may be coming up on her term ending. If anybody wants to volunteer for that or interested, you can always call me, but you can also look at the website and get some information there. If you want to know more, and I haven't told you enough today, there you can go to our website. Our NTA has a blog, and then we are on, I think, every social media out there, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can find out information there at any of those sites. Here are just a couple of good sites for what's happening, during COVID, what's been going on. And like I said, we are still working from home. With the mandates being eased, maybe we'll get back into the office soon. But right now, you can reach us phone, fax, email, and we will assist you from home. When we are in the office, we do have a walk-in service for our Taxpayer Advocate Service, not to be confused with the Taxpayer Assistance Center that's in the federal building. They are, your first line to go to when you have a tax problem. But if you can't get it resolved there or at the IRS toll free, that's when you come to Taxpayer Advocate. And we do have a walk-in office on Bishop Street on the 6th floor when we are in the office, but not now. There's no one there to answer. We go in once a week. Actually, my secretary or I goes in once a week to do the mail, to process mail. But other than that, we are not allowed to go in right now until they tell us. So just some more information about updates. All the publications, because I just want to throw this in here because I know, for many years there's been forms and publications available at the TAC office in the federal building, the Taxpayer Assistance Center, but not anymore. So now, most of the forms, if you need them, go to the website or you can call and have them mailed to you. And now we also have them in Braille or large print. There's more information about that. There's the accessibility hotline. If you need something other than, what the normal information that's out there. And then we have multilingual resources. And there's our site for that. And this is one way you can request your language preference too, for your forms and that are mailed out. When you call IRS, you can call if you need another language. This number, the 800-829-1040, you can get English and Spanish on that number. For other languages, you need to call the 833-553-9895 number. And with Taxpayer Advocate Service, if you call us directly here locally and you speak another language, we do have access to an interpreter service that we can contact and that will interpret for us. And so that concludes my presentation. If you have questions for myself or Wayne, we'll be glad to entertain those.
I don't see any comments or questions in the chat, but I just wanted to mention that all of our experts have some kind of connection. And on Monday, we heard from Deborah Sanahiro with our Consumer Resource Center, and she told us about how we can check on licensees, on professionals, like accountants. So when Wayne had mentioned, tax preparers, I just wanted to also say that if you wanted to find out if your accountant is licensed, you can check with our CRC. You can also go on to cca.hawaii.gov/business check. Make sure that they are licensed, and you can also check to see if they have any prior complaints. So I'm not sure, Deborah, if you had anything else to offer regarding checking on a licensee on our CRC website, or even to call to find out if they have any prior complaints. If you can add to that. Okay, so is let's see. Okay, well, I don't see any other comments or questions. If you want to, you can just unmute and ask your question if it's too long to put into the chat. If not, I wanted to thank um, Gayvial and Wayne for being here today. I also want to thank all of you for joining us at the 2022 NCPW Virtual Consumer Fair. We're promoting consumer education this year because education is so important. I'd like to thank our speakers again for sharing their knowledge and expertise during this workshop series. So please check the DCCA website next week for the recordings of the workshops. And if you'd like a consumer packet, please email education@dcca.hawaii.gov to request a hard or soft copy of the packet. Thank you again for taking the time to learn more about being consumer wise.